We have sometimes used the word neutralization, especially with respect to certain actions or asanas that are done towards the end of a session. And prima facie, it might to some people not make a lot of sense. When a word does not make sense in a certain context, it is sometimes interesting to see what it means in a different context in which the meaning is more easily and universally understood. Neutralization, the closest reference point that I have, and probably the reason that I pick from there and use it, is that when I was a science student, there were certain reactions that were called neutralization reactions. This would include two very strong reagents, but very opposite, very different in nature, which were made to react with each other to produce relatively innocuous chemicals. For example, a very strong acid and a very strong base like hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide caustic soda would react to form sodium chloride, that is just common salt, and water. So the opposite nature and the very strong corrosive nature of one is neutralized by the other and vice versa, and the end product is something that is very harmless. So now, having known this, maybe it already makes some sense to some people. So neutralization actions, when done in the context of an asana class, are those actions which bring us back to a state of body and to a state of mind which is not too much tilted or swayed to any one direction, because at the end of the session all of us do need to come back into the real world and we need to go about our lives, and we don't want to do it with a imbalanced state of mind or body. And of course, shavasana is the best neutralizer. Sometimes when the actions are quite strong, then some other means are also used. For example, when we do a strong backward extensions session, some of you might have noticed this, that it gives a sense of high, which might be appropriate for some people, which might be appropriate for some times, but it is not all the time appropriate for all the people. It might also, we might have stressed some tissues of the body, some muscles, some joint, more than what ideally should have been done. So to come back to a neutral state from that, both mentally and physically, additional actions are required. It does not mean that the neutralizing actions for back bends is the exact opposite of forward bends. It does not always work like that. But it means something. For example, in doing backward extension, if some muscles of the back have been narrowed, then we do something to expand them. Now, whether one needs neutralizing actions or not really depends upon, of course, the asanas themselves which have preceded. It also depends upon the skill level of the practitioner. For example, a very skilled practitioner, let's say Guruji, he could straight away jump into intense backward extensions and then he could come out of it and then he could go on with his life. Many of us cannot do that. We will end up with sore backs, or we will end up feeling agitated sometimes. So that is why these actions are included in a regular session. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, if you need clarifications, please ask back. Thank you.